Welcome to Slingshot 25 Shotcast, a series of bite-sized podcasts that will feel like an espresso shot to your brain. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Courtney.
And something that we have been thinking about is thinking, actually.
Yes, and your brain.
See how I did that?
Mm-hmm.
We've been thinking about thinking, which I believe is called metacognition.
Oh, my goodness.
I know I'm throwing out the big words
Wow.
really early, not even 30 seconds into this baby.
Google it.
So what we really want to say about thinking is that leadership is a thinking game. And we want to talk a little bit about the difference between thinking and technique. Does that make sense, Courtney?
It does to me, but I don't know what we're going to talk about.
Help make sense of that to our listeners.
We end up saying a lot, like we don't teach a lot of technique. And what we mean by technique is prescribed instructions on how to lead, like formulas, scripts, answers to the back of the book. We don't teach a lot of that because, as we've talked in some of our other episodes, being a good leader means being able to sense and respond. And part of the things we have to be able to sense is how do we actually think about things?
Yeah.
Because our thinking drives our actions, our behaviors, and it is actually the sum result of how we treat people. Right?
Yeah, that's right. So another word that is out there and getting really popular, has been popular for a number of years now, is this idea of mindset. And this, of course, is what we're talking about. You've heard things like the coaching mindset or the leader mindset. This is really essentially what we're getting at. There is a way to train yourself to think about situations differently, about how you show up, how you essentially experience any interaction with another human being. And this is what we talk to people about more so than technique. Now, I'll let you know that if you're ever in any one of our training classes, you will learn some technique. We are not here to shame technique teachers. We're just finding that in order to get people to really make the most of technique is to also give them the deeper mindset that is behind that.
Yep,
and
sure.
Yeah, because we think that if you can teach yourself to think differently in a setting, to essentially what we say show up differently into a moment, all of the technique, all the words you need to say, the things you need to do, the ideas that will come to you and come out in conversation is based on how you're thinking about that moment.
Yeah, and your intent ends up being the thing that overrides. Like it's less about the words and it's more about what you mean to create an experience for someone else. So the words matter, words always matter, but deeper than that is what's your intention? Do you care? Do you value the person in front of you? Are you there to help them? If you're thinking about that other person, if you're thinking about how you make them successful, if you're thinking about, hey, I believe in them and I think they can do this, you have those kind of thoughts as a leader, it doesn't matter how you talk, what words you use to talk to them, that intent and that goodness will come across and people will follow that. So you need to think about how you think.
Yeah, that's right. There is a researcher, I don't have the name. I'm beginning to become notorious for coming onto these little conversations, Courtney, and talking about someone else's work and not being able to give them proper attribution. Again, thanks to Google, you can look this up. It's a researcher who came up with the idea, I think actually a philosopher, who came up with the idea of an I-thou versus an I-it conversation. And
I've never heard of this.
Corporate America is notorious for pushing us into more of an I-it, meaning seeing interactions as more transactional, what I can get out of it, what kinds of things I can get, what kind of problems I can solve for me, and to see each interaction as more transactional.
Yep.
And an I-thou, I know that's a bit of a dated word, thou, but basically an I-you conversation puts you in the mindset of approaching that conversation as we are two people in a moment together, and that my focus is about you. And wondering about what you are thinking and feeling, how you are experiencing this moment, and it's focused on relationship.
Yep.
That's essentially the kind of thinking, and we have all kinds of strategies and exercises and practices for how we can kind of wiggle you into that mindset so that you're not grasping for technique in more of a transactional kind of way.
And who do you want to work for? Right? Do you want to work for someone who treats you like an it or someone that treats you like a person? It's pretty simple. And then who do you want to be to others?
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. And so we're also famous for saying, don't believe everything you think. So with that, that's all we have for this episode of our Shotcast. But of course, we always have much more to say, particularly on this topic. So if you want more, drop us a line at slingshot25.com. Until next time.